So typically around this time, around Halloween time, I like to take a look back on some classics on my channel. And last year I tackled the Universal monster movies where I sat down and ranked them all. And these videos typically don't do very well, which kind of makes sense. If I were to guess, I think most horror fans on YouTube are more interested in modern horror and less interested on, the classics. But I do think there is a small percentage of people in my audience that do love the classics like I do. And I think it is fun to take a look back on some of these older films to see how horror started and how it's inspired, modern day horror films. So today I want to continue that trend and give you what, in my honest opinion, is 5 must-watch black and white horror films. So without wasting any more of your time, let's jump into it. Number 5, Carnival of Souls, streaming on HBO Max. So yeah, I really dig this movie. I revisited it many times, since I watched it many, many years ago. And this movie is very, very weird. Every time I watch it, it gets weirder and weirder. It's kind of like a psychological horror film, although there is some spooky and creepy visuals. There are moments that happen at this nearby carnival that she's kind of drawn to, and some of the images that we are shown from that carnival have always stuck with me. They're very off-putting and bizarre. And what's kind of cool about this movie is that the director kind of manipulates time and has some very interesting editing choices. Like, there are transition shots in this movie that are just like, that was really cool. But there's also time manipulation. There are footage that is sped up, there's footage that is slowed down, and it adds to like the creepy, unsettling, visuals that we are shown. And what's also great about this movie is I believe this movie is only like an hour and 15 minutes long, so it goes by very quickly. And you're basically just watching a woman go mad, and you're not quite sure if the things that she is seeing is really, happening to her or if it's all in her head. And I find that to be a pretty compelling hour and 15 minutes. And then you get to the, infamous ending of the movie, which, is an ending that makes no sense until it makes a lot of sense. And just some really fun set pieces in this movie. The one that stands out to me is, she's playing the organ and she starts seeing these visions of people at this carnival. That whole sequence, I think, is very well done. And it really just ingrained in there are images from that, terrifying sequence that have just been engraved into my brain. And it's one of the reasons why I watched this movie again, is to revisit that sequence. So yeah, Carnival of Souls, it's a classic. If you have not watched Carnival of Souls, please check it out. Like I said, it's only an hour and 15 minutes. I'm sure you'll have a blast with it as I do. Number 4, Cat People, video on demand. Okay, so there are 2 main reasons why I think that you should watch Cat People. The first is that Cat People has the first recorded jump scare in a horror film ever. So if you want to see what the first jump scare in a horror movie looks like and what they did and how they did it, then look no further than Cat People. It is the first jump scare in a horror film, which I think is pretty important. Jump scares are now part of the DNA of horror films. So it is kind of cool to watch this movie and be like, hey, this is where jump scares began. And I think that's very fun to watch. And if you feel like you're watching a piece of history. And the second reason that I recommend watching this movie is that there are very good horror set pieces. I think the one that stands out the most is where a woman is in a indoor swimming pool and she thinks she's being stalked by something and you're not quite sure what. I think I love that set piece. I've always loved that set piece. That always stuck out into my mind. This woman kind of sitting in an indoor pool at nights, looking at shadows. And I think this is just a really fun and different kind of horror film. It's a horror film about a curse and what a curse can do to somebody and the psychological, hoops you have to go through to either accept your curse or reject it. There's also some fantastic cinematography here. That's this beautiful black and white. Some of the images in this film are just beautiful to look at, with the shadows and how actors are framed and the use of light. It is a gorgeous film from the 1940s and one of the most important, icons of horror. Number 3, The Haunting, video on demand. All right, The Haunting. This one's a classic, man. And damn, is it entertaining. This is a crowd-pleasing, commercial, fantastic horror film. And if you don't want to trust me, you can trust Marty himself. Martin Scorsese has claimed that this is his favorite horror film, and I can understand why. It's creepy, it's atmospheric, the set design is immaculate, the cinematography is incredible, and most importantly, the use of sound. This is a movie that leans heavily into sound. To my recollection, I don't think you see any ghost in this movie or any spirits or any entities. It is all things that you hear. And in one of the most famous scenes, I believe on the first night, Eleanor and Theo are in their bedrooms and they just hear this unrelenting pounding noises and they're just scared to death, and it's all through sound and it's very creepy. It's very effective. This is one of those movies where, you know, it's scarier because you don't see the things that are causing the sounds. You're not seeing the ghost. You're just hearing it. Yeah, I just think overall, this is just a very entertaining, very approachable horror film. Great story, great characters, has a pretty batshit ending that, you know, makes you go, what? Which I always love horror movies like that. And I know this story could be a little too familiar. I mean, they remade this in the late 90s. Jan de Bont remade this, you know, with The Haunting with Liam Neeson and Catherine Zeta-Jones and Owen Wilson. So if you've seen that, you know, this version is better than that one by a long shot. Mike Flanagan just made The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix a few years back. So, you know, this story has been told many times, but, you know, this one was the first adaptation of Shirley Jackson's novel, and I would say the best. Number 2, Black Sunday, streaming on Shudder. Okay, Black Sunday, or The Mask of Satan, you know, whichever title you want to go with. This movie is an absolute blast. Out of all the movies on my list, I would consider this one to be the most entertaining by far. And I would say this is, you know, I am no horror historian by any stretch, but I would say that this is like the one of, if not the founding father of, you know, over the top gore in horror films, or just, you know, gore in general, you know, paving the way for like Sam Raimi and the Evil Deads, or, you know, the Italian, you know, wave in the 70s of, you know, gore horror. I mean, hell, in the first 5 minutes of this movie, you know, a woman's being put to death and they put a mask at her, and inside the mask there are all these spikes, and they put it on her face and fucking hammer it into her face as blood is pouring out of the mask. Like, it's awesome. And the dual performance from Barbara Steele is just phenomenal. Like, her performance in either role really sucks you in, especially the witch. When she comes out, man, when we get that close up and she's spewing her hatred, satanic nonsense, you're just like clapping because her performance is so damn entertaining, and she's just chewing up her scenery. I love it. And again, just that beautiful black and white photography. Amazing images in this film. You could take many screenshots from any frame and you can hang it up on a wall. And yeah, just every time I revisit this movie, I keep forgetting how this movie just really sucks you in, and how just damn entertaining this movie is. For a black and white, you know, horror film, this is about as entertaining as it gets. When people are like, oh, I don't want to watch black and white, they're so boring and dull. You know, Black Sunday is the example I give of like, okay, well, have you seen Black Sunday? Because I find it hard to believe that someone would not get sucked into the story. This movie just goes and speeds, and it just keeps you on your toes. It keeps you invested in the characters. It keeps you invested in what's happening, and it's gory as shit. So yeah, if you've not seen Black Sunday and you love gory films and you kind of want to see the birth of gore in films and where it all kind of started, again, this is 1960. It's black and white, so you're not getting Terrifier here. You know, it's a little scaled back for its time. But yeah, there is some fantastic gore in this movie, fantastic kills. It is overall just a blast of a movie. Number 1, The Innocents, Criterion Collection. Now listen, there are titans of black and white horror films, man. The Everest of black and white horror, whether you're talking about Psycho or Night of the Living Dead or any of the Universal monster movies, you know, Dracula, Frankenstein. Out of all of those, The Innocents, in my opinion, is my favorite and the number 1 must-watch black and white horror film. And don't get me wrong, I love those movies. I love Psycho. I love Night of the Living Dead. Love all that stuff. But The Innocents just cuts deep, man. The Innocents is absolute cinema with a capital fucking C. This movie is incredible. It is incredible. I would say that, like, this movie feels like a, the first movie in A24's catalog here. Like, this movie feels like an A24, like the best A24 horror film that they've ever made. It is dark, it is moody, it is, atmospheric. Like, this movie just oozes mood and atmosphere. Like, it's a gothic horror film, and this movie just really sticks with you. And that's why it's number one for me. It's always been number one for me. It's always been my favorite because it just sticks with you. It is a movie that you think about when you're done watching it. You think about a week later, you revisit it every year, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. It has, some of the best, if not the best, child acting you'll ever see in a movie. Like, these two kids are just mind-bogglingly good. And man, the cinematography in this movie is bananas. The cinematography in this movie goes hard in the paint. It is some of the best black and white photography you'll ever see in a horror film. Like, you'll be watching it and you're just like, how do they do that? That is beautiful. It is gorgeous. It is dark and creepy. And there are so many oneers in this movie. I know oneers are kind of like, in this day and age, it's like people trying to be cool and hip. Oh, let's do a really cool oneer. But as I was watching this movie, that's just how movies were made back then. And I was like, every time I revisit this, I'm just like, man, they haven't cut yet. We're going inside rooms. We're doing master shots. We're doing, medium shots. We're doing, foreground, background. Like, it is just astonishing how well this cinematography is. And the story is captivating. This is a 100% a psychological horror film with sprinkles of, ghost and evil spirits just for good measure. And it's a movie that sucks you in, and you're just in this mood. You're in this castle, well, not castle, estate, and you're in it along for the ride. You're trying to figure out what's going on with these kids, what's going on with this woman. And at the end of the day, it's just the most beautiful, gothic, incredible, cinematography. It is just wow. Like I said, absolute cinema. This movie is a banger. It is number one in my humble opinion. The Innocents, what's more to say? It is a masterpiece. It is a 10 out of 10. It is, one of the best, if not the best black and white horror film ever made. Okay, that wraps up my must-watch black and white horror films, but what are some of your favorites? This is one of my favorite parts of, doing videos like this, is that you guys give me recommendations and you guys talk about your favorite black and white horror films. So please let me know in the comments below, what are some of your favorite black and white horror films? Please let me know what you think about my list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to know your thoughts. And until next time, I will see you on the next one.